Good evening, everyone. I'm Lorna Crowshoe, and on behalf of the people of Treaty 7, I welcome you to our traditional territory. My Blackfoot name is Kriskanayas Tsikani. The English translation for my name is Morning Crier, or some of you may know the term Town Crier. This name defines me as a Blackfoot woman. I am from Piikani Nation, about 2 hours south of Calgary. I grew up on the reserve and come from a family of 9 children. I am a middle child, and I've spent most of my life trying to assert my position in the pecking order of our sibling structure. And to this day, I am still on the losing end, but I keep trying. Our parents passed away at a young age. My oldest sister and my youngest sister assumed responsibilities of parenting. The oldest is always in charge, but the younger one plays a role in disciplining us and challenges us when we need to be challenged. The youngest of my sisters is an elder in our traditional ways. She dedicated her life to participate in our sacred ceremonies in the Blackfoot community. She now plays a role as a grandparent in that traditional structure. My biological grandparents were very instrumental in raising us, and my grandmother played a role in our as a matriarch and provided a foundation for us that impacted our ability to care for each other in the absence of our parents. Blackfoot women come from a matriarchal society. They have a responsibility for the collective well-being of families and communities. The impact of women in my family has had a profound effect on our livelihood. Early on, cultural norms were instilled in us, especially the practice of taking care of each other. In my community, we had a cultural practice based on relationships, which includes our nuclear family, our extended families, and our clans. We need to know members of our clans because they inform us of our wider relationships. Family members have specific roles and responsibilities, and there are basic principles for getting along and ensuring our relationships are harmonious and cooperative. After our parents passed away, the roles and responsibilities of my own nuclear family kicked into play, and we had to find ways of caring for each other. My younger sister, the one that plays the role of the second parent, plays a very influential role with our nieces and nephews, including my 3 children. She has a way of making them feel special. She is our sister with a little bit of money, has made some wise investments over time, and has always had the spirit of giving. And in a way, she plays a philanthropic role in our children. As poor post-secondary students, our children go to her from time to time for help because they know she believes in them, and they recognize in her a caring nature. She pays it forward. A while back, I came upon a professional role in the nonprofit sector, a role that I was not intentionally seeking, but it came to me. This job in the sector led me to work for several years in the world of philanthropy. In fact, I proudly helped to manage a $2.7 million gift from a local philanthropist for a project I was working on with Aboriginal youth. Beyond the gift of money, he genuinely cared about the long-term graduation rates of Aboriginal youth. There's a word in our Blackfoot language that we hear often when our elders are praying. It's a reminder of the human spirit in all of us. The word is Gimbatabeetson. That single word expresses compassion for our fellow human being, to show care, concern, kindness, love, and empathy for each other. Blackfoot people are spiritual people. It is the foundation for our collective well-being, and it's what sustains us. When our elders pray, they pray that everyone will have Gimbatabeetsons, or compassion for each other. This past summer, as with other previous summers, I spent some time at the Sundance on the Blood Reserve. It is an annual gathering of Blackfoot nations so that our spiritual societies can host our sacred activities. It's more than just a gathering. It's a time to share our collective values and traditions. It's also a time for renewal and old people teaching young people about being compassionate. It's contagious. Once you experience this, it's very difficult to live a lifestyle that does not include appreciation, love, and affection for our next human being. When I'm with members in my community and someone on the street is asking for money, we dig into our pockets and give what we can. Our elders say, "Istestawapsop," meaning the action will come back to us in a form of good fortune. It's based on the principle of the more you give, the more you will receive. From time to time, I work with a Native woman from the Lakota Nation in South Dakota. On one of her trips to Calgary, she ran into a young lady from her home community at the Denver airport. She told me the young lady was a Gates Scholar. I asked, "What is a Gates Scholar?" She said Bill Gates has a fund for Native American students to complete post-secondary degrees. Apparently, there are many Native students who are Gates Scholars in the U.S. and benefiting from this particular philanthropy. I want to go back for a moment to my own childhood living on the reserve. As a young girl growing up on the reserve, we didn't have much, but that was the norm. Every young person growing up on the reserve at that time didn't have much, but we did all right. We turned out all right. In my community, there's an element of resiliency that surfaces if the appropriate conditions are right. If caring and compassion are in place, and in my case, it was the strength of women in my family who instilled through cultural practices the ability to persevere in life. My younger sister, who was bestowed the good fortune of being the young parent in my family, pays it forward constantly. She is a person of goodwill. My oldest sister is still the boss in my family, and she convenes us frequently at her home to ensure that we sustain a strong family structure and that we maintain a caring relationship to each other. My youngest sister, the one who has dedicated her life to practice our cultural and spiritual ways, is a philanthropist in her own way because she practices the compassionate term that our elders have worked so hard to instill in us. I am a founding member of the Blackfoot Women's Society, and we very much want to continue to practice our traditional ways in an urban environment and model for our younger women in the community the practices of Gimmitabitsins. You may ask, what about the men in our communities? Men in the Blackfoot community know that they play a critical role in societies, but women are the keepers of the lodge, and in mainstream societies, this role was disturbed. I'd like to conclude my presentation by saying the common denominator between the Gates Foundation, the Calgary Philanthropist, and my sisters is this: they are all philanthropists in their own way. The difference is in my community, we've been practicing Gimmitabitsins and culturally inspired caring for centuries. Thank you for allowing me to share with you this evening practices of my community. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to present at Walrus Talks. Thank you for the organizers of these talks, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the presentations this evening. Thank you.